History Month, and you know what that means. We are never going to hear the end of it from my co-host.
No.
This is something we call AirHamptons with Volpe and McKey, the Dolce and Gabbana of public broadcasting.
Happy
Right?
to be with you.
Really? Well, that's
Every month is Women's History Month.
well, but this one really is. Welcome to March Mania. That's Jim Turner playing our one-man band over in the corner there. Jim is, he's all here, but I'm never sure what he's going to do. And
He's
that's what's
somewhere.
exciting about it. Yeah.
I like
Jim,
that he's somewhere.
I don't know where I am, and I don't know what I'm ever going to do either.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Turner has history with women, I'm betting.
Oh, man.
Okay, wait.
Hey, can I do a program for you on that?
Sure. We just have the hour, though. So listen, welcome to our little March Mania show. We are talking about a lot of things today.
Yes.
We're talking about Women's History Month. We're going to go through some of the most famous events that have happened by women and for women in the month of March. And tonight, though, and we're going to start there. By the way, two amazing women join us, two very strong, two
Yes.
executive directors today.
That's right.
One from a library and the other one from a museum.
That's right.
So I don't know if we can keep up with that. That seems...
I mean, it's a
that
very
sets a
special
bar.
program.
That sets a high bar. But as we said, it's Women's History Month.
And what else is happening
Today, Sunday, March 2nd, is the Oscars.
That's right.
Hooray.
I have seen only one of the films.
Which is
I'm
exactly
excited
like
to
the
talk.
Oscar voters.
And I want to ask you about one of them.
Well, tell us the one you... So we're going to go through some of the categories, and I'm going to give you my sort of, I don't know, Oscar pool picks for tonight.
Okay.
I have been voting for years in something called the Critics' Choice Awards, which was last month. And but this year is kind of strange. There's some very odd movies nominated that many people are like you. Even watching tonight, you've seen
I've only seen Conclave.
Conclave, which when I saw here at the Hamptons Film Festival, I said to everyone who would listen, which is usually just Mrs. McKey, that was going to win Best Picture.
And that's what you want.
I would like that to happen, but
do you
something
think that's
happened
gonna happen?
a funny thing happened on the way to the
forum?
Oscars, and that is that Ed Berger, the guy who directed the movie, did not get nominated, and that almost never it happened for Ben Affleck in a little thing called Argo about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Do you remember
Right,
that film
I
at all?
remember Argo.
So Argo won Best Picture, but he was not nominated. Now that became the reason Argo
For
may have
Best
won
Director,
it.
you mean?
He wasn't nominated for Best Director.
So okay.
What I'm saying is,
So
that
there is a precedent, is
yes,
what you're saying.
but it very rarely happens that a film that isn't nominated for the direction.
Feels like a rare year.
Conclave was, how did I describe it? It was Succession in a sanctuary.
It was, it's like we talk about the religion and politics, and this movie was the politics of religion.
Starring or co-starring and nominated tonight.
Isabella Rossellini, our very own of Mama Farm in Brookhaven.
Yeah, that's
if you know,
exciting.
you know.
You've spoken to her. I have
We
as
did
well.
peacock impressions together. It's a memory I hold dear to my heart.
Wait a minute. That's a thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Hurrah! Ha!
With-
Nice, nice.
Okay. Security? No. Was that for NBC? Was that a peacock?
No, because she has peacocks on Mama Farm.
And does she have to run around the farm doing a peacock impression?
I just mentioned that I love talking to peacocks personally.
that turned into kind of a dueling peacocks between you and...
It was, again, a very sacred, special moment. I'm very much hoping she takes the award home for supporting
actress. Yeah. She is a nun in this. If you haven't seen the movie, it's streaming. You should. It was on my top 10 list, and as I said, I thought it was going to win, but now she's out in California today, I'm sure. So she's probably not listening to this program. Who was the better peacock? Be honest.
Oh, definitely Isabella.
Yeah, we want her on the show, so that's a good answer. We will hope for. She's a very powerful woman and a very and has a great deal of history in her own family.
Correct.
Yeah.
Of course, the Rosselinis.
Roberto Rossellini, her father, and her mother.
I loved. She shared a photo of her mother as a nun as well.
Oh, that's right. She's played that in From the Bell Tolls. What? I can't remember.
Is it For Whom the Bell Tolls?
It might be, or is that?
That is one of the only books that I started and did not finish. I think I was like in 7th grade or something.
All right. Well, that's
and
a bad thing to say at the top of a show where we have the executive director of a library.
Well, listen, I love books, and I won't apologize for it.
So you watched one movie this year and got halfway through a book.
No, come on.
Is that basically what we're saying here?
First of all, I'm rounding out 500 books for my children for 1,000 books before kindergarten. I love reading. I read lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of books. At the time when I took For Whom the Bell Tolls out, I was like in the middle of like a fantasy novel time in my life. And it was just not the vibe at the moment, and that's okay.
Okay. So have you read any of the Best Picture nominees to your children? The Substance?
I have not. No, so tell me about The Substance.
What kid doesn't love Dune Part 2, the audiobook on tape?
LOL. I did see, Inside Out 2.
Yeah,
right?
that's nominated for animated
That was
animated
the first
feature.
film I took Harmony to see in theaters.
Really?
And she made it an hour in.
How old?
She was 2. And when we were leaving, the person who was running the theater said, they usually don't make it that long. She was very impressed.
Well, I don't mean to brag, but this happened to me at 18 months for my daughter, Lily.
I love that.
And it was Monsters, Inc.
That's a
at
great
the old
film.
Ziegfeld Theater in New York City.
Kitty.
No longer there, now a catering hall. But it was Monsters, Inc. and 18 months, and she was mesmerized.
Yeah.
Mesmerized. When you take a small child to the theater for the first time, just a little piece of advice, go in after all the previews and commercials and let's all go to the concession stand. They don't. No.
Well, and it's cuts down on the timer you have going.
Right. Yeah. Because it is
for like
ticking bomb.
a baby attention span. It's not very long.
Right, but I was. It helped that it was a gigantic screen, and she was fascinated with that. But I will tell you, I don't think Inside Out 2 is going to win tonight.
Who's on that category?
So it's between that and Flow. Memoir of a Snail, who, I think we all love that.
Didn't we talk about that during Hamptons International
They show that
Film
at
Festival?
Pierre's, and then you
I
order
wanted
it.
to see The Wild Robot. Have you seen that?
Wild Robot is the film that actually could win.
Okay.
I think it'll be Flow, but Wild Robot would be and then there's another Wallace and Gromit.
Now, this is a robot that's been like deprogrammed
Right.
or is, defective in some way. Tell me.
Invented by Elon Musk, I think. No, I'm not sure. But anyway, the best pictures that you've seen will start right at the most important category. You've seen Conclave. I wish that would win. I tell you
What about
now,
Wicked?
though. Wicked is going. You know what? Somebody said something really interesting about Wicked. In this, it hasn't died. It has a couple of people who are nominated for it. It's made tons of money. But one of the Academy voters I talked to said, next year will be Wicked's year. They're waiting for the second part to come out, which is the second half of the movie. And I didn't even think of that. And this person said, there's a consensus in Hollywood that we need to see the whole thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's like also, it seems like, talk about politics. There's got to be a whole lot of politics in this.
Ooh.
Like I think about like the Grammys,
Right.
and Billie Eilish getting snubbed for her record. And, and then
Is it just me, or do all Billie Eilish songs sound like she just woke up?
I don't know. I love her vocals.
She's great, but it sounds like that's the rehearsal for the song that she'll be. But she's done very well.
Yeah.
So who am I to say? This is, if you've just joined us, we're talking about the Oscars. We're talking about Women's History Month, and this is Volpe. And
You were
McKey
talking
for
about The
AirHamptons.
Substance. And tell me about this movie.
Demi Moore has a real shot for Best Actress tonight. And she won the Golden Globe, gave a great speech. Everybody loved it. She talked about how she had been convinced through her whole career to play substandard roles, or just popcorn movie roles, she called them, by an agent. And it was the perfect speech to give to say, now I've given a real performance. I can't stand that movie.
You don't like it. Tell me about it.
It has a crazy over-the-top ending, but a lot of the movies this year do.
You seem like very...
Amelia Perez has an over-the-top kind of Thelma and Louise, sorry, spoiler alert, kind of ending, and so do a lot of the films. So I am pulling for Timothy Chalamet.
How was Timothy
complete
Chalamet
unknown.
as Bob Dylan? Because he was an awesome Willy Wonka.
Yes, he was a good Willy Wonka. I think he's miscast in the Dune movies. That's a paycheck to me. But I totally thought he could not pull off Bob Dylan.
Right.
And he does. He completely takes over the role. I hope he wins Best Actor. That's who I would predict in my. I've been reading the tea leaves from voters and everything that's happened so far. I would think he might win. I would think the director of that film, James Mangold, might win. And I'm also very, very, very confident that the motion picture itself will win. Those are my three top picks. I also like, for Best Supporting Actor, I want Jeremy Strong to win.
What did he do?
He was in The Apprentice playing Roy Cohn. And as good as Timothy Chalamet was at playing Bob Dylan, Roy Cohn, the power lawyer, nefarious behind,
Yes.
and actually the Dr. Frankenstein behind Donald Trump, played by Sebastian
I didn't
Stan.
know that there was a movie about him
You've
out
got to
this
get
year.
out more.
Yeah, I do.
It's just you reading to that kid.
I'm telling you, it's ruining me.
I got to call social services to have you removed from
I
the
take
house.
them.
The child is fine.
I go to the library and I take 10 books out at a time.
We're backpedaling on the library,
I'm sorry.
but she's not here yet. We're going to talk to someone before that in just a moment. So,
Read to your children. Read to-
Jeremy Strong, I want to win, but it looks like Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain is going to be supporting actor.
Is that Macaulay Culkin's brother?
It is, and he was. What's funny about this
Oh wait,
category?
isn't this Jesse Eisenberg's movie?
Yeah, that's the Jesse Eisenberg movie.
Okay.
Which has a chance at, it's nominated for a screenplay. It has that opportunity, and it very well might win.
We should have had him on. Isn't he out here?
We make a lot of calls.
I'm telling
It's
you.
just Jim Turner shows up, and then we get lucky after that. But it's the two brothers, if you think about it, from Succession,
Wow.
competing against each other in the same category.
wow.
The older brother
That's a
is
very
Jeremy
interesting
Strong, and the
year.
younger brother is Kieran Culkin.
All right, so
so
we're
that
gonna
could
see
be a
how it all shapes
dogfight.
out.
That could be fun. And so those are my I hope Isabella Rossellini wins for Conclave. I will tell
would
you
be great.
only about that category, supporting actress,
Yes.
is that it often goes to the ingenue. So
Okay.
Juliette Binoche, who, by the way, we'll talk about in a few minutes, happened to have been born in March, a strong woman, won that year that they thought Bogey's wife was going to win, Lauren Bacall.
Okay.
Lauren Bacall was in this. She was absolutely going to win, and then for the English Patient, along came Juliette Binoche. So what I'm saying is that category can often favor the young ingenue, but really this year, there isn't one. I mean,
Yeah, I saw a great
Cynthia-
quote, and it said, as a woman, you're either too young or too old when the perfect age to be is when you're a man.
Well, I don't know about that. But Fernanda Torres from I'm Still Here has a shot. But as I said, I think Demi Moore is going to win unless the Oscars sometimes like to zig where the Golden Globes have zagged, and they may have thought that was enough that she was nominated. But okay, so
I'm gonna watch.
Okay, let's bring our first guest in to
Yay.
chat about a strong woman indeed, and someone who is now running the Southampton African-American Museum, a role that was.
We are very, very lucky to have Jessica Elliott leading the Southampton African-American Museum, following in Brenda Simmons' footsteps. You were telling me when you came on my show about meeting Brenda and how it was like looking at yourself, right?
So Jessica, welcome to AirHamptons. We're not even sure this is a show yet either, so we're really glad you're here to give some definition and kind of class the joint up. Tell us about the first day on the job at the museum.
Well, the first day on the job was essentially kind of just a led tour by Brenda, and just hearing all of the various stories of how the museum came to be, how this space in and of itself came to be. As you all know, the Southampton African-American Museum was once a barbershop and beauty salon in Southampton that catered to the African-American community. Now that space has been transitioned into the only museum in the country that exists prior as a barbershop and a beauty salon. So it is something that is captivating in and of itself, but listening to the history of that given to me by Brenda, that was the first day on the job, and I couldn't be more thankful.
Did she talk to you a little bit about her experiences as like a young Black woman walking around in Southampton?
Definitely. I think a lot of our experiences kind of mirror each other. I'm from Syracuse, and I've recently moved to this area. So hearing her story and knowing my own story, though, watching how those things kind of conflate and become two stories, but the same pathway, is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to take this job, why I wanted to be a part of Brenda's life. I think both professionally and personally, she can't get rid of me now. And I like it that way, and I think she does too.
Well, you both are out of the dynamo kind of role. I mean, I can tell that she's being succeeded by someone who's capable, obviously. What's the
And
goal?
a serious historian.
Yeah.
You know, can you talk about that, about being a historian and running a museum?
So I think history often gets like a bad rap. People equate history to, oh, it's boring, and it's not, right? Museums give us the opportunity to engage with history in a multitude of ways. Public history is your love of movies, you know, with the Oscars going on. It's the love of music if we're thinking about, you know, best original soundtrack for a movie. It's all of those things compiled into each other. I think the beautiful part about history is that it can reinvent itself over and over, and the people who invent history are all of us as well.
And I think one of the things that I love most about the Southampton African-American Museum is like the really innovative ways that you bring history alive, like the cell phone walking tours.
Yeah, so that is something, the digital tapestry is absolutely beautiful. Upon entering the museum, we work with technology to make all of our exhibitions come alive and talk to you. So again, reading the exhibition, you have that opportunity, but you also have the opportunity to watch the pictures come to life, and you have an opportunity to watch the people who are responsible for this space come to life and talk to you about their history and their stories.
You know, a barbershop and a beauty salon, not a huge space. This is not a giant building. So how do you curate it in terms of what's going to go in there and what you're going to try and tell people when they arrive?
So I think we have to be extremely intentional with all of the programming that we do. It is always very well thought out. It is always very much so in line with what we want to ensure our programming looks like for the future. So this month we're celebrating Women's History Month. So with that being said, our exhibition is both and exploring the identities of African American women in the U.S. That is our curated exhibition for right now, and
That's fantastic.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Because, you know, we've got Black History Month, we've got goes into Women's History Month, but as we like to say about both things, I mean, it's every month.
That's the title. It's both and, right? Black women are both Black and they are women. So within that, there are multiple identities that they have always and forever.
So you're right. Give us an
I
example
want to
of
hear
what's on
about some of
display.
the people.
So there are pieces from an artist by the name of Linda McKey. She provided us with statues. It's called Field of Freedom. And this particular set, it walks us through the different ways in which Black women have worked throughout this country, looking at the tapestry that they've created to kind of make sure that the U.S. is the U.S. And oftentimes those histories are forgotten, but it's not a painting. Instead, this is done of a mixed material type of nature, which brings it to life in a way that I couldn't imagine.
Can you talk more about that, about what you mean?
About
what you mean about, what were you just saying a little
with
earlier?
Field of Freedom?
Yes.
So thinking about labor, I think what we have the tendency to do sometimes is we tend to forget how we get where we are. And when you think about labor and what that means, it's all things. It's you reading to your children, that's labor. But for you, it's a labor of love, right? Watching films, it's labor. But you don't think about it that way because it's something that you enjoy. All of those things kind of compound to become this field of freedom, whether it is working on a farm or working in a house or working to rear someone's children or rear your own children, working to be a historian or an archivist. All of those things kind of conflate and become a field of freedom together.
And who was the artist?
Her name is Linda McKey.
Okay, and can you tell us more about Linda?
Well, Linda's not from the area.
Okay.
She is from Connecticut, but she is a wonderful artist who, this isn't her first time working with the Southampton African-American Museum, and I'm more than sure this won't be her last time either.
And something you were talking about the size of the space, but am I right that the cell phone walking tours that extends outside of the building itself?
So it extends inside of the building for
Okay.
right now, but we have dreams and goals of pushing it outside as well.
And what about the kinds of folks who come to the museum? Is it very inclusive in terms of we're all going to see it, or what kinds of numbers do you get in
So
through the
per
front
month,
door?
believe it or not, since I've been there, I arrived in December, and I've had maybe like 4 or 5 visitors of people who just see the museum with the lights on and they walk right in, and I'm very inviting. I invite everybody in, and I want everybody to engage with that space, and not just in a learning capacity, right? But this is also a space that it can hold events, like lectures or, you know, a small concert series or a poetry night. It can hold all kinds of things. So with that being said, this is a very inclusive space and all people are welcome, because at the end of the day, we're all American citizens and we want to make sure that we can all learn the histories of each other.
Who was the most powerful woman in your life growing up?
My mother, without question. She is the reason I am the way that I am. A champion of all of my successes, a guide in the spaces where I may needed to improve, but a nurturer and a lover of me. I cannot be anything other than who I am and who she kind of crafted to be. She allowed me a freedom to be who I needed to be, with some reins, because it was necessary, but my mother is the most important woman in my life.
She fostered your love of history.
She did. Her and my father, both
They
of
were
my
from the
parents.
South?
Yep, both of my parents are from the South. My father comes from South Carolina, and my mother comes from Florida. So in the summer, we would travel back to the South, and my parents were very big in music, which I'm so excited that Jim Turner is here. But my parents were lovers
Thank
of
God
music.
someone is.
And so that was my introduction into history. So hearing a song like Midnight Train to Georgia, that's a story of migration, and that was my parents' story. And I didn't know that at 5 years old.
Would they talk to you about
No, they
the
just let me
song?
sing in the
They just let
back
you sing.
seat, right? Yeah, a 5-year-old belting that song out for all bleeding ears to hear. But once I did that, as I got older, I still continued to love that type of music. But I was able to say to myself, wait a minute, there's a story here.
Right.
This is the connection between my parents' lives and other people's life who have left the South and made new spaces and homes in the North. It's a story of migration.
When did you start actually researching the history behind some of these stories?
I think that has been, if I'm being honest with you, I think that's been a lifelong thing.
Right.
I think as a young person, you just absorb, right? As
She was
a
singing
young
history
adult,
in the back seat
Yeah.
of the country squire.
Right.
as in a station wagon with no seatbelts, right? As a young adult, you kind of are in this space where you want to explore different things, you want to learn different things. But I think in my young adolescence is where I finally kind of got my feet,
Right.
got my grounding, and kind of became more confident in my abilities, not only to contribute to the discipline of history, but to also kind of tell historians, like, there are other ways to do history. Public history is a thing. Oral histories are a thing. Black women's epistemologies, those are things. Those are ways of learning. And so making sure all of those things kind of come together, it's beautiful for me.
I can't wait to see the programming that you're going to be developing at SAM. It's SAAmuseum.org for
Yes.
anyone looking to find out more information and what you got going on.
Are your parents still with us?
My father's no longer with us, but my mother's here, and my mother is so excited to come visit Sam, and she would have come with me if I would have let her, but I just needed her to just hold on for a second, let me get my feet in the door, and let me
Right.
figure out what we're doing. But largely a part of this exhibition, it's kind of my love letter, not only to myself, but to so many women who I share those identities with, both and Brenda included.
Well, she must be, and wherever your father is, obviously, is also proud. So,
Thank you.
welcome to the Hamptons. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
I don't know how you talked Brenda out of her job, but we're thrilled.
She's still there.
She's
Brenda's
definitely
not
still
going
here.
anywhere.
She's still around. I need her.
Yes.
I need Brenda to be a part of everything that I'm building because Brenda lives and breathes everything that is the Southampton African-American Museum.
She will be in your ear always.
And I need that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, a little north to south music coming in. Oh, yeah. That was Jessica Elliott, the new director of the Southampton African-American Museum. This is a little thing we call AirHamptons. I'm Bill McKey,
I'm Gianna Volpe.
and we are celebrating all things about Women's History Month. Did you
Yes.
know that March, for example,
Tell me.
was the month that the suffrage movement was born?
You know what? I didn't know that until you told me this
Was
afternoon.
that the second half of the book you didn't finish reading?
No, I didn't make it past the first page. I'm telling you, it was just not the right space.
March 3rd, 19th, tomorrow.
I've loved almost every book I've read, and I've read a lot of books.
Well, that's a perfect
I will-
introduction for our next guest. But before we get there, it is March 3rd, 1913, when thousands of women marched on Washington for the right
Oh, all right.
to
So
vote.
it looks like the women should be marching tomorrow.
Also, civil rights activist Ida B. Wells. Do you know Ida?
Oh, yes, I
Read any of her
certainly do.
books?
No, but I know Ida B.
Also
Wells.
born this month, Yolanda Griffith. She was the one of the first WNBA players and an Olympic gold medalist.
And Amelia Earhart went missing.
Yes,
in
Amelia
March?
Earhart left in March to go on that historic halfway, I guess, around the world
Yeah.
tour. I mean, this is a kind of off topic, but when I started doing stand-up comedy, my first joke was about Amelia Earhart. There was luggage. No, don't call me bastard
just
yet.
kidding.
There was luggage called Amelia Earhart luggage. And I said, I'm no marketing genius, but I know you don't name luggage after a woman who mysteriously disappeared
Yeah,
in an
okay.
airplane.
Well, that's just a.
All right.
just a-
Lorraine Newman, by the way, Saturday Night Live celebrated its 50th anniversary last month.
Oh, I didn't
Lorraine
know.
Newman, March 2nd, today.
That's today.
Lorraine Newman, the original SNL cast. Also Jessica Biel, Catherine O'Hara, Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Perfect for our next guest, talking about the library. Carol Bayer Sager, Juliette Binoche, we talked about before. Olivia Wilde, Lisa Loeb, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
RBG, huh?
RBG not in the House anymore, but or the Senate or the Supreme Court. But she's not forgotten. Reese Witherspoon, Liz Claiborne, Chaka Khan.
Yeah.
Chaka Khan.
Oh,
Chaka Khan. Jim
Reba,
Turner.
my girl, Reba.
Jim, you ever open for either Chaka Khan or Mariah Carey or Reba McEntire?
What do you think?
No, but okay.
Oh, sorry.
But we want to talk now about, do you go to the library? Do you
All the
take,
time.
Do you take
My-
take Harmony for those reading?
I just take her to the library. They have amazing programming, and they're wonderful. The hard part about going to the library with a little one is leaving, because they don't want to leave because it's an amazing place.
But you leave them there anyway. You hop in the car and go to happy
No.
hour. No, you
Oh
don't.
no!
Lisa McKey is the executive. Am I saying McKey correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
She's the executive director of the Bridgehampton Library, and they are going to have a little sort of an inaugural celebration to raise money. You know, all of these libraries.
Yes.
And we can talk about it. May be facing cutbacks in this current political
There's so much
environment.
to say, but I
And
won't say it.
So there will be a fundraiser on March 14th.
13th.
On
The
13th. I
13th.
keep saying the 14th.
Yes.
Am I going to show up on the wrong
I
day?
hope not.
Lisa McKey, welcome
I
to the
will
show.
remind
Welcome.
you.
Is
Thank
it?
you.
How's it going so far? Do you want to
Great.
leave?
No,
Oh,
I love it.
you know what?
Oh, I thought you meant the studio. I'm having a lot of fun here. with
Well,
all
we'll
of you.
change that. By the way, in your honor, I just want to say, shh. Okay.
We don't really do that.
They don't
No.
shush at the. They don't do that at the
Not
library anymore.
hardly ever.
I don't think I've ever been shushed at a library.
That's
Oh,
good
I have
news.
been plenty of
Yeah.
times.
That's
Are you
well,
kidding?
that's you.
Okay.
But first of all, no guilt. You can
Yeah.
put a book down.
That's
you
okay.
do not have to finish reading a book.
No.
And kudos that you're doing 1,000 books
Before kindergarten. It's an amazing program.
That's great.
Do you guys do it at the
We
Bridgehampton
do
Library?
it. And the children's room, I like to say, is the busiest, happiest,
Yes.
sometimes noisiest place on Main Street. They only start crying when it's time to leave.
Yes. And the librarians.
You've been
are
watching the
always-
show.
I have
They're
to-
always so lovely. They're always so helpful. And I remember one day, I said something like, "Oh, they're closing soon," or something, or someone was saying, are they closing soon?" And the librarian said, "I have two options. I have like we're closing soon, or not."
It's hard to
They'll
get the
help
kids
you.
Wait, those are
It's
the
hard
two
to-
They'll help you. I'm saying, like, the librarians will say, "Oh, we have to go because we're closing," to help you get your kid out. I'm like one of those parents that, like, I won't lie to my kid ever, even if it's a white
Really?
lie. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's hard. Actually, no, I feel like there have been times.
How old is she?
She's 3.
Okay.
She loves the library, and we love the library. So this, on the 13th, at Almond,
At Almond.
Right, here in
is
Bridgehampton,
going
or
to be
here in the Hampton,
a
Bridgehampton.
fundraiser for the library for Bridgehampton.
For the Hampton Library in Bridgehampton, we are in the midst of a capital campaign
Okay.
to do some interior renovations.
Oh.
We had a huge
New
renovation.
shelves?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And new technology. Important, because since the last time, a lot has changed at libraries, especially since the pandemic. And people are coming in now doing Zoom meetings and, you know, so we need to update our technology, and we are so busy that we are turning people away from some of our programs.
What? There's a line to get like Studio 54 to get into the
Yes,
library?
there is, and it's just as much fun.
Well, is there a VIP basement?
Yes.
Okay.
That's known as the children's room.
What
but
happened? Let's back up for a second because I'm fascinated by this. What happened to the Bridgehampton Library during COVID? How
I
long was
was
it
not
closed?
there.
How
I
long
was
were
at-
all libraries sort of shut
For
down?
months.
Yeah.
Closed for months, but there was usually someone that would come in and do a curbside. So people would reserve a book, and then we would run in.
Really?
Put
Like a
people's
drive-through?
books-
Beautiful.
Yes, and some people are still doing it, and we're happy to do it
Oh,
because we
oh,
want
that's
people to get
cool.
their
Yes.
books. So everyone was working from home. No one had done that before. Now we're working from home, or we're working virtually, or
That's fantastic.
so that's
that
why
you're-
people come in the
so
library to
they
do
come
that.
to do like Zoom meetings.
Yes.
And you're saying, do you have like rooms?
well, we have rooms. We don't have a Zoom room.
Is that what
That's
we're
not the
looking to
plan.
raise some
No,
money
not,
for?
not a Zoom room, but just we're enlarging some of our rooms because we have ESL classes and poetry, potpourri, readings, and we have not enough space, so we're expanding some of the rooms, including our young adult space, because it's about the size of this table, one that
For
we
those
have
of you
right
listening,
now.
we're at like a 5x5 table.
So you can fit maybe 4 teens in their sneakers and backpacks, and then no one else. So
Oh,
we're,
yes, you need
so
more
we
space.
Need more space for them because they need a place. They need a
Yes.
third space that's not home, that's not school,
Right.
where they can feel safe and themselves and hang out, maybe read a book, do their homework, do a project.
Libraries are so
relax.
important.
They're
and
so
they-
important. They really change
Librarians
lives.
are so
for
comforting
teens.
when they speak, and you have
Am I
that
doing
you have
it?
that kind of cadence in your.
happy
Now,
to hear
Bill, we're going to turn the page.
So
now.
when did you when did you come to the library? You said you weren't there during COVID?
I was at East Hampton Library for many
Okay.
years, working in lots of different departments there, and then I
There was
came.
a lot of competition, right? Some unfriendly competition between East Hampton and Bridgehampton Library, like a rapper East
So-
Coast West
no,
Coast
no
rivalry.
way.
Library system
We're
in
all
Suffolk
friends.
County is so friendly. I
Do you
love
share books? Do you
Yes.
So
Yes.
okay, all right, so
and
we're-
you can
There is
return
a-
them like can you return
Anywhere.
them
So
anywhere.
there's a van
Yeah.
Really?
that drives around in between the different libraries and delivers the books. So say you want a book and it's not at our library, Southampton Library has it, put a hold on it, pick it
We're
up
going to
at your
talk about
library.
where the money goes, but the first question is, are we looking at cutbacks for the arts in 4 libraries under this current administration? And are you going to help subsidize that with this dinner on either the 13th or the 14th? I'm confused about when it is.
Well, it is on the
I
13th.
know.
I'm going to write that one down for you. We don't get federal money much at all. So that's the cutbacks. New York State, we get some money, but it's mostly taxpayer dollars and fundraising that supports the local libraries.
Do
out here.
publishers send you the books for free, or do you have to buy books like Barnes and Noble does? Or like,
Sometimes they'll bring a book in,
Uh-huh.
and we love to take them, but we buy our books.
Do famous people who live out here come in and sign their books?
And can
they
people
do.
donate books?
Yes.
And do you encourage
Yes.
that?
We are happy to take books. We'll either put them in our collection.
Right.
We'll give them
DVDs?
away.
I got a lot of DVDs.
DVDs, not so much anymore because we have
VHS? I got some laser
no,
discs.
No, thank you.
I
won't take
remember
those.
I got something I was able to rent, but you can also do like Kindle type
Yes.
PDFs and whatnot. I remember I was interviewing Ari Shapiro, and I got his book. I rented it for free and was able to read it online through the Suffolk County library system.
One of the coolest things you do in the summer is called Fridays at 5. I've had the honor of being the moderator a couple of times for that. And those people show up for free, right? And that's
Definitely do, and we appreciate it so much. And we have our Friends of the Hampton Library, our volunteer group, very busily at this moment getting an excellent lineup for this summer. I can't divulge
you could
anything yet.
give some initials.
I can't do it.
No, I know, but
I love our
for
friends.
people who
but I
don't
can't
know
do
and are
that to
listening,
them.
let's say in Manhattan, it's a big
a big-
get. Walter
it's a big
Isaacson,
get,
Katie
yes.
Couric, just those two basically. But no, there's almost anybody famous who's written a book and lives out here kind of gets guilted into it eventually.
They want to do
They do
it.
because
they
it's
love
they do
coming
it in
to
the
Fridays at
backyard unless the
Yes.
weather's bad. It's a
Yes.
gorgeous setting.
I know.
It's a gorgeous setting, which that's another beautiful part about the library because we're not just books, we're about the community. We have our beautiful back lawn where you can just come, hang out, read a book, have a cup of coffee, and the kids come and play on our deck. It's not just the indoors, we also have our
I just
gorgeous
hope
outdoor
that
space.
that folks out there, that at least one person is inspired to visit their local library if they don't go often, because there are so many services
So
that
much.
libraries offer that I feel like a lot of people have no idea.
I mean, you could literally have a baby at Southampton Hospital and you could stop by the library on the way home and there'd be something for that baby to
And
do.
you might even get some books. I remember getting
That
like
sounds
books
messy.
for babies. I got a copy of through Books for Babies. I think it's the What to Know During Your First Year.
Right, yes.
What to expect.
Right, when you're
What to expect
expecting.
when you're
No,
expecting
but then there's
and
what
having
to
a baby.
expect during your first year.
Yes.
'Cause of course I
There's
read what
also
to
having
expect.
Baby for Dummies, which I'm pictured in that. They actually show me I'm the don't in some of the.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not.
I
That's
was
not.
like, I never know. I was so gullible.
What about nationally? Are we seeing fewer people come to the library, or is it?
No.
My
No.
library is
No,
always
libraries are
full.
super busy. We had 40,000 people walk in the door in 2023 in Little Bridgehampton.
Wow.
I mean, libraries have changed certainly, and there's a lot more community center vibe to it.
Which is
But
so important.
It's wonderful. We really need that, but it's more than books. Of course, we're just literacy and community combined. So, and also people come in, as I said, to work, to meet each other, to relax,
Have you
and
thought
to come to
about,
programs. 'cause
have
we
you thought
so
about
many.
doing some news literacy programming?
Well, we have, this isn't exactly newsletter, but we have a global affairs group that meets once a month, and we have a speaker that comes in on a topic, and we discuss factual
Things that are
items,
going on.
events that are
Right.
happening in the world. As we also have a philosophy group.
Now,
We have a knitting
some
group.
of this a knitting group, really?
Yes.
What else? I want to hear more.
But
is
some
it?
of this
Yoga,
expanded
Tai Chi.
space, I feel like some of
Okay,
this
yes.
expanded space might have room for VHS tapes and Laserdisc. I'm dying to get rid of
No, I'll
these. I
put it
swear
on
to
our
God.
wish list.
What about
but-
that? What about that cart outside where everything's free?
Yes, that, it could go there.
I can dump
If-
stuff
yes,
there?
you can. Just bring it on in and we'll.
All right, tell us about the 13th because
Okay,
your
yes.
website
Wait, are
is.
you going to be there?
Well, wait a
Yes,
minute. I think so.
I'll tell you all.
Let's see how this goes.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, we're doing some fundraising, and Alec Baldwin graciously agreed to come do a talk with Mr. Bill McKey.
Oh boy.
It's going to be
That's got
entertaining
disaster written
and
all over
so
it.
much fun. We're so excited and appreciative. At Almond Restaurant in Bridgehampton, March 13th, 6 o'clock. It's a very special evening planned with the two of you and all of us. Only 70 tickets will be sold.
And I imagine very yummy too, huh?
Yummy. We'll have local cocktails, wine, 3-course meal with wine pairings, and you know almond is delicious.
Can we expand that cocktail hour? I feel like that's going to be necessary. I think.
You know, I'm sure we can work that out.
You know, Alec Baldwin is obviously lives out here, is very active in the Hamptons Film Festival and all the libraries, I guess. I mean,
Yes.
he technically lives a little closer to East Hampton,
Yes.
correct? But
he's a huge friend of libraries and has donated to every library I talk to.
he's going to do most of the
practically.
talking. I think my job will be pretty simple. Just
Have the
teeing
two
him
of you
up.
talked?
Just teeing him up a little bit. Again, that website is.
It's myhamptonlibrary.org for tickets, or also on eventbrite.com.
And what's on the wish list? We raised a lot of. We made
They want to.
we
They
made
got a
2 or 3
capital
million bucks
campaign
that
going.
night. Let's
So
say.
you want to expand the
What
young
are
adult
we
space?
going to use the money for? if
So
we
we're
get
going to
laid out?
expand our young adult space to almost twice its size.
Right.
We're going to expand our Alan and Arlene Alda literacy room to twice its size. And this is just within the building. We're not expanding past the footprint. And that's for our ESL classes and lots of our different classes. We're updating our technology as well. Our both indoor and outdoor audiovisual speaker system, because we have a lot of
Interesting. So
a
you
lot
can
of
do like
events
movies
indoors,
in the garden?
indoors. Maybe.
I like
Ooh.
that. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and just, reconfiguring some of our shelf space and making it all, because if you had 40,000 people in 1 year come into your house, you might need to do some carpeting
What's a
after
book
10
nobody
years.
checks out? Well, give us one that's just been sitting there and is so dusty.
I don't
you
want to
feel
do
bad
that
for
to
it.
any
Do you
author.
do you
I
prune?
can't do that.
Do you literally
we
go
weed.
through and prune like
we weed.
You weed.
And I have a weed team at the library. Shout out to the weed team. Because
you have to.
We have
They
to.
only have
It
so
is
much
important.
space.
Right.
We
The
only have
book's
so
not
much
moving.
space.
They got to get it out of there.
Yeah.
I mean-
or if it's out of date, especially nonfiction.
Do you do it
things
like
that.
Fahrenheit 451? You have that big fire in the
No, they
backyard?
need it. You need.
We
you
don't
need-
burn any books.
You need
just
your
to be clear.
dystopian novels right now.
I've started a
They're
lot of rumors.
important.
I know
on
it's,
this show.
it's concerning. No, we give away those books, and people take them, and then we have
love.
new come in.
Donating books is love.
We are looking.
Wait, Jim,
Oh.
one-man band Jim Turner has a musical question, I think, for the
Okay,
library.
Jim.
Held back vastly, and my silence is my main thing, but what I'm interested in, you may want to get into it, is the subject of the book banning.
Right.
I'd like to ask, maybe, or she say, no, let's not talk
Yeah, have
about
we banned
that.
any? Have we banned any books?
well,
I've never
not
heard
in
the
New
term
York.
banned in Bridgehampton. Is that a
No,
thing?
and we're not going to ban any books. Mm-mm. Don't do it. Freedom of information, freedom to read,
Catcher
freedom
in the
of
Rye.
expression.
Catcher in the Rye's there?
Yeah.
Catchers in the Rye there. If
Jim
it's not
has
on the
specific
shelf,
titles he's not gonna heckle
I'll
you
put
with.
that on hold for you, Jim. But no, we're very much about freedom of access and all that. So interesting times.
It's a non-political environment. They're
Very
all
much
books
so.
for everyone there.
That's right.
On the left side of the shelf and the right side of the
That's
shelf.
not how we do it, but
They use the
I'm just saying.
yeah, because it's a community of people of different persuasions, and
Yeah.
we serve everyone. I know that. Also, I talked about children and babies and teens, and also older people aging at home, and there's a lot of loneliness. I have an older lady that just takes a walk. She pops in. She's British.
Are we?
God.
Yeah.
In the
I'm
Springs
just coming in to say
Library,
hello.
the Springs Library, one of their volunteers is a centenarian. And I loved
old.
hearing
Yes,
that.
thank you.
I was just
know?
adding it up.
That's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing.
it is a
you
beautiful thing.
deliver?
We don't.
Okay. But you could call like Uber
But you can
Eats.
call and say,
It's true. We're
but
thinking
they do
about that.
curbside.
Yeah,
No,
you do
just
do the
run
pickup.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's important. There's loneliness, and we are there for people to talk, and they make new friends, and they come in and they relax, and it's a really wonderful place.
You serve the community, and on the 13th of March, you're going to serve dinner and cocktails. And
Yes.
Alec Baldwin, and for some reason, Bill McKey is going to be there.
We're very
And
excited.
There are still a few of. Hold your applause till the end.
Okay, okay.
We're very excited to have you here and to talk about it. And I guess we asked our last guest. So, who was the most influential woman in
Oh, that's impossible to say.
your family or in your
Okay.
history, or
All
a
right.
mentor? Or,
I have a few. Well, my mother was very big on us all reading. Took us to the library, read to us every single night. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We came home at lunch, because you did that back then, and she'd read another chapter. So that really helped me on my path to my profession here. There's too many others to mention.
You
here,
said
but-
you said that there was something that the library needed before we went over to Jim.
Oh, actually, because we're doing this renovation, we need a temporary space to move into for 6 or 7 months.
Really?
In Bridgehampton.
Oh, you buried the lead. What are you taking over Almond, or is Pierre getting out of town, or
Never
what do you-
know. We do have a silent book club in Pierre's upstairs room on Tuesday nights.
That's
if you want
right.
to just
I did know about
come
that.
read quietly with people. So yeah, so we're looking for a place, and if anybody
If anyone out there has a space, what should they do? How
we
can
don't
they get
have
in touch with
just call me at the library. We're not moving everything
you?
by any stretch.
MyHamptonLibrary.org.
MyHamptonLibrary.org. We need a space in Bridgehampton.
Yes, you do.
September. Is this? You know what? Didn't they used to call that a winter rental?
That's what you need.
We need
You can't afford
an
anything in season.
old-fashioned
You can't-
winter rental because we're hoping to start work in September, October of this year. So
Wow.
All right, so you'll
Yes.
come on with me so we can make sure we find a space for you.
all right.
You know, I just
Like,
want to help.
You got a trading
Yeah.
post
help
here
the
on
lib-
WLIW?
Well, I'm
You
just
got,
saying to come on the show, and you know, if it's not
Yeah,
found
that
by
seems
March,
formidable. You're burying
Yes.
that like that's not a big deal, but that's
It's a
like,
big deal.
You got to find a space, right?
It's a big deal. But again, we're not bringing everything, but we still serve, our patrons and have some books there for them to check out. So
Okay, so Fridays at 5 back this summer.
Fridays
and-
at 5 is back. Also, Jazz Fest is back with us
Oh,
this summer.
great.
So we have free concerts with Jazz Fest in our back lawn in July and August.
Jim, you can
Very
play
exciting.
jazz occasionally, right?
Yeah, and also I've played there numerous times. By the way, I want to interject that backyard there is
Yes.
Lovely.
It's not even a yard; it's a beautiful, beautiful space.
We've said that 2 or 3 times during the show, so thanks for paying
Well, I
attention.
wanna
But
only go five.
no, and you could be like you are here. You could like maybe open for.
Quite with no reason I'm here for the season in the Hamptons. It's marvelous.
We have actually a couple other fundraisers planned. We have Bees for Books with the Bridgehampton Killer Bees that we're hoping to have a charity basketball game at the school.
With the filmmaker, the brothers that made that.
Well, I'm not sure.
original doc?
This is still, we're still
In the
in
planning
planning
stage?
stages, but they're very excited. We're very excited because we like to work with our local schools and we support each other very much with the kids and what they need. And
Can
also,
you move into that school during your
That
remodeling
sounds
period?
like a
think
pop.
Maybe that could be the gym.
it's now on air
They
that
already know
this
how to
could
play
be
basketball. They
happening.
don't need to rehearse. They're
Yeah,
good.
that's because they practiced. And also, we're going to have a Family Fest fundraiser at Channing Daughters Winery on May 17th. Lots of exciting fun
Wow.
events there. So we're busy.
I'm like thinking of all the times I'm gonna have Lisa on with me.
Lisa, you're a great sport. We
Thank
really, really
you.
appreciate having
It was
you.
fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Reading is fundamental.
Yes.
It's so important. It's the most important thing for a child is to learn
Yes.
how to read.
Read your kids.
With
Read to
school.
your kids.
1,000 books. before
1,000
kindergarten.
or more.
1,000 books before kindergarten. Plus.
Go get one at Bridgehampton.
Oh, I will.
Well, you still can.
I can. Well, right. Run. Don't walk
Okay.
to your local library.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us. How about a little Jim?
Book music.
Yes. Turn the page. You're listening to a little program that we call AirHamptons with Volpe and McKey. Get your East End in here. We've got a show to put on. We are the Nick and Nora Charles of Public Broadcasting, filled with arcane references like that one that only 4 or 5 elderly cinephiles will understand. You're listening to AirHamptons with Volpe, Jim Turner, who's playing in the background right now. My name is McKey. This is a historic month for women, a historic day for Oscars, and we're thrilled that you could join us.
I'm happy to be here.
Who was the most influential woman in your life? Who's the most historical woman in the Volpe?
Okay. I would say the most influential woman in my life was actually my father's girlfriend, and she told me never dumb yourself down for anyone. Never tell your girlfriends who you have a crush on. Save your money.
The guy you have a crush on,
Yes.
not your other girlfriend you may have.
Save your money.
We don't judge here, but if that wasn't where
Save
you
your
were going.
money. Work hard. And buy a house.
Oh, you did that.
And
You've
I
done
did
all
that.
of those things.
I did all those things.
I would have to say my mother, and probably I don't know. I can think of, you know what, the conversation has to include teachers in our lives.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
And-
Mrs. Skinner, my kindergarten teacher. Miss Alimo, she was my creative writing teacher who took me to the Geraldine Dodge Poetry Festival.
Are any of those women still with us?
Well, yes, absolutely.
good. Mrs.
And let me think. So she took me to the poetry festival. My creative writing teacher, who I think she went to Yale, and she wrote like a recommendation letter for college that I recently found, and was so blown away by what she said about me. There's so many incredible women that I am just unbelievably lucky to have had in my life, including my own mom.
Mrs. Van Norden from the Lincolnwood School in Evanston, Illinois, is not listening. Well, if she is, she's in a very special place because that was in 1963 or 4 or 5, whatever.
How old were you?
I was 14. I was held back to the 2nd grade for many years. But no, I was probably 5 or 6.
Okay.
And was very, very instrumental in getting me to pay attention to what was happening at the front of the class. And I've remembered her to this day. And so I think teachers are important. I think obviously our parents are important. And
Mrs. Kenny, my 2nd grade teacher.
You had her?
She used to have me sit and read to the class.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I had a lot of teachers who, if it weren't for good teachers, man.
The substitutes
lot
were
of
the
us
best
would be.
because you could pretend you couldn't do certain things, and then they.
I had my superlative. I was voted most likely to annoy a substitute teacher.
Really?
Yes, and least likely to be seen on weekends.
That's a
I was
thing?
class
That's a
individual
category?
and class clown.
You were the class clown?
Oh, yeah.
I was not the class clown. I did 5 minutes and then brought him up. I was the warm-up. I was the warm-up for the class clown. And then he killed, and I was just like,
Hey, that's an important skill to warm up an audience.
women are funny.
Women are very funny.
Funniest woman.
Alana Glazer's very funny, and Marina Franklin is incredibly funny.
Nikki Glazer, you mean? Who's
No.
Alana Glazer?
She's a comedian. I think she's in
That looks
Broad
bad for
City.
me that I have no idea who that is.
That's okay. She's wonderful. I just saw something on Instagram, and she was talking about how crazy all of the people from out on the east end of Long Island are.
Well, she's not wrong.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien hosts the Oscars tonight.
Yes!
There are probably some women that will be helping him with that, and probably Tina Fey, maybe even Amy
Tina
Poehler
Fey, incredibly funny woman.
will be lending a hand there. Saturday Night Live, which we mentioned a moment ago, had its first of all, it's been directed by a woman for years, but it is and has writers that were on staff, but Tina was the head writer.
Yes.
On a show like that,
Very
with
well deserved.
very male dominated, it would
You love to see it, women in male-dominated fields.
well, we don't love to see it, but it's
Only if it's serial killing, right?
what?
That you wouldn't love to see that, right?
We don't rehearse this show, and I think you can tell. I'm Bill McCuddy, and this is my trusty side. No, my co-host. Jesus, if I said I was the host and you were the co-host
I know,
for
I
Women's
was-
Month, I'd be shot.
Your trusty sidekick. I was like,
Well, no. I
just
like
say
to be
it,
trusty.
Bill.
No.
Just say it.
This is from a building 3 IKEA guys built in 20 minutes with an Allen wrench. AirHamptons. I'm Bill McCuddy, and I'm always happy to sit next to the lovely
It is.
Jenna Volpe,
And
who
very
is on her
smart.
way to reading 1,000 books as we speak. Jim Tanner.
He's gotten 2 different,
Can we please script this show? It
Pseudonyms.
desperately needs it. Jim Turner's over there playing. He's our one-man band. He joins us every month, as we hope you will do too. We're on Mike. He's on. We never know what he's on, but there he is. And thanks for listening. We will see you again next month on AirHamptons when it will be April.
Showers bring May flowers.
Good one.
I asked God for flowers and he brought rain.
Was that in one of the books?
Oh, it's another meme I saw.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Oh, please. That was for you.
That was fun.
No. Were you paying attention?
No.
No, it's great. Thank you, everybody.
Barely.
All right, I still have the job for the